What is up, everyone? I am Joe DeHoyos. I'm your host of Beyond the Woodline. Real quick before we get started, um, you guys know that I am into the whole Bigfoot research investigation thing, whatever you guys want to call it. I don't really care. Some people will get offended by the word researcher, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, you guys are interested in helping out a good team with good people. I am part of the JRG, which is the Genetic Research Group. And we have teams all over the country: Maryland, New York State, Florida, Louisiana, Michigan, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, California, um, of course, here in Texas. And I know I always forget a state or two. And if you're in a state where we don't have a team, we definitely network with other people. We can help you guys out. If you have an issue with these creatures, man, let us know. If you just want to tell your story, let us know. And if you want to go out and actually do some investigations and research, um, we can help you out with that too. Even if we don't have a team in your neck of the woods, we network with a bunch of people, and I certainly know people all over the country too that I can hook you up with and make sure that they're good people. We try to vet everyone. Uh, we'll vet you, we'll vet them, make sure everybody's a good fit, make sure no crazy shenanigans go on. But I can promise you that the people that I know personally, great people. A lot of them are going to be lifelong friends of mine. And if you just want to help out from behind your computer, your laptop, your phone, you can find places for us to investigate. You can find history of places regarding these creatures. If you have suggestions on techniques we could use, we'd love to hear that too. So don't think you have to go out into the field because you don't. And if you guys want to contact me, beyond.woodline@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to talk to you guys and get you guys started. And with all that being said, I know you guys don't tune in to hear me run at the mouth. I have with me tonight Mr. Anthony. Anthony, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for
Thanks
having
a
me on.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot, dude. We were talking before we are having a pretty good conversation before we even came on the air.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, dude. And if you ever want to take me out to that place, man, I'd love to go out there, man. You can check it out because I've heard so much about it. I've actually had some friends that have gone out there, and then they themselves have had experiences out there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I'd love to go out there and check it out. And you're welcome here anytime too, man. You want to go
Cool.
do some
Cool.
Bigfoot stuff. We got some pretty cool spots, pretty cool places that we can take you to. I can almost guarantee you'll at least get some vocals, some good vocals. So
Right.
yeah. But yeah, man, tell us a little bit about yourself if you don't mind, and what got you started into this whole crazy genre.
Yeah. What's up, PDX Emmy? Thanks for coming in. Um, well, let's see. I'm always asked that question. Um, so I should be good at it by now. With me, it started when I was five. Because when I was five, and I was leaning back on my chair, and I fell back, and I hit the corner of the bed, and I died for 5 minutes. After that, I don't know if that has something to do with it. That caused it to I guess to start to activate it or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. But by the time I turned 8, I started to see spirits. And at the time back then, we couldn't really talk about it. Still being 8 years old, still didn't couldn't figure out what I was seeing. I just know it was scary. And but I grew up in a way that no one ever told me that they didn't exist, or how people, especially our culture, would tell them, no, it's the cuckoo or whatever, don't,
Right.
it's over here, so they don't, So, and I believe that that's what happens to most people is that their abilities, they get squashed, they get, they get pushed back, and then, or it's just your imaginary friend, they're not real, you know. And because if you notice, kids when they're small, they're always pointing and they're always talking to somebody, and so I didn't have that, so my abilities were able to just to flourish. And as I started getting older, I started to see more. I started to, like, I guess they were showing me and how to do things because I started to be able to manipulate energy at a very young age. I was like 9 years old, and so all of those abilities just kept on developing. And then as I got older, Even in junior high school, man, I was already like out there. I could see things, I could feel things, what you see psychics do and all this stuff and everything. And I think it was just because it never, I was never told that it wasn't real.
Mhm.
So for me, for a long time, everything was natural. Like I thought this is what it was. I thought everybody could. But then I did get into, I guess I got into my 20s. I did start to get into more of the darker side of it, what people call dark, uh,
Right.
more of the witchcraft kind of thing. Even that word, I hate to say witchcraft and witches because people have a misunderstanding about all that. And so I learned a lot of things like that too. So even like right now, I consider myself that I work with light and dark. So, but I'm more in the middle because I can do both because I learned both. And but then, so I've always had, I guess, paranormal experiences because even back then the words didn't even exist. Paranormal, you didn't hear about it until the show started coming out.
Right.
You
Right.
know, and then so as by that time, and I was already out there, and of course, being around certain people, I saw a lot of things. A lot of rituals, what I call real magic. Not these TikTok things
Mhm.
and stuff that it's very hard to learn and it's real secretive. And but so I could say that I've been having paranormal experiences since I was 8. So it actually, like, it found me. I didn't look for it. I didn't see a show and said, "Oh, I want to do it." And so I've been doing this for over 40 years. And so it's like when I got already once I got into my adult age, I I had so many experiences that when the shows did come out, I started to see, well, hey, you know what? There are people like me. And then of course social media started to come out because I come from I think we both do. There were a time when there was no cell phones and no social media, you
Mhm.
know. So once that started to come in, you start to see all this stuff come in. YouTube started coming out, and so I started to see, hey, there's other people that are like me. And when I started seeing that they're filming and they're capturing things or whatever, that's when I decided to start my team, which is called Texas Wraith Hunters. And because I have, like, back then I just said I got 30 something years of stories, man, but I have nothing to show. And so that's when I decided to start my team so that I could get that evidence and show the world that there really is an afterlife.
Right.
That this is real. And so it just took off from there and just started investigating. And mostly I stay in Texas, and just New Orleans, which I finally got to do. Got that off
Right.
my bucket list, which that was awesome.
Yeah.
And so it's just investigating all over Texas.
Cool. Cool. Well, you mentioned the afterlife. What do you think happens when we die?
I think that hey Nancy, what's going on, Nancy? It's not that I think; I feel that I know.
Okay.
Some some people when they pass, if they don't move on. And I've been asked before, why do you think people don't, why do the spirits don't move on, why do they stay here? Well, it depends where you come from, because if you come from the spiritual life of, say, of judgment, if you believe in the Bible, well, then you're going to be judged. And if you got to think about it, we know what we've done, and we know we're going to be judged when we pass on.
Right.
So maybe they don't want to cross over because they don't want to face that judgment, so they stay here.
Okay.
That could be one way. Or they don't know that they've passed on. Maybe maybe they were in an accident or something. And, hey Donna, and that they stay here. And the ones that do leave, it's just another thing here that I've thought about. How come no one ever communicates with serial killers?
Hmm. Yeah.
No one's ever communicated with Ted Bundy or you know any of the serial killers. You never
Right.
hear about that. And
Right.
so I wonder where they go. That's one question that I do have,
Okay.
because the other ones, they stay here. The ones move on. Some are just upset because they don't. They like you hear, they have unfinished business. They just want to take care of something. Many times, maybe they were murdered and they want justice,
Right.
and this is where people come in that they work with the criminal side, the psychic mediums and stuff like that. Like my friend Donna, she's one like that. She works on cold cases. So
Okay.
they communicate with the spirits and they actually talk to them. They'll show them where they're at, who did it, what they were wearing, and there has been cases where they have found the person who did it.
Right.
So, even at that, that proves that there is an afterlife.
Right. Yeah. I totally. Yeah. I totally get that. I totally believe in all that stuff too. And I think I think you're pretty much hit the nail on the head with that. Real quick, Miss Sandra Piper here. I hope you're doing good, Miss Sandra. She took a spill, and I know last week she was in the hospital. I hope you're
Mm,
home now, Sandra. She's been with me since day one. I've never met her personally, but she's always
yeah,
here,
that's
and
good.
she's one of my ride and die. So thank you, Miss Sandra, for tuning in. I do appreciate that. Um, so yeah, man. So what got you like into like actually like saying, okay, I want to investigate this. I want to start actually doing some research.
Well, like I said, I've been in it, and then the research comes from it. Well, you have to do that.
Mhm.
This is where it separates the ghost hunters of just wanting to go out and not putting anybody down, but you have a lot of groups that start up and they just want to go out. You know, the like if you're going to do residentials, that's where it really gets um, because you have to meet the family. You got kids involved. You need to research. This is where if you call yourself an investigator, well, this is what you do. It's not just detectives. You are an investigator, so you're going to be doing these things. You um, what's the light in back?
Right, talking about my lights. They're haunted dolls.
Yeah,
They
he's
play
got
with their little lights,
he's
and this one just came in about I don't know 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago. Yeah, it just came in.
yeah
So
he's got dolls.
I've got like 5 or 6 dolls behind me. They're not mine. They belong to somebody else. I was waiting for somebody to ask that question, but yeah, they're not my dolls. They belong to somebody else. But, okay, I'm sorry about that. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Matt? Paranormal consultant. Thanks for showing up. Um, yeah, and so that's where it separates the investigators from the people that just want to go out and just kind of do the show thing. I mean, you see it on TV. Which is nothing like that. You actually do get your butt kicked sometimes,
Right,
but because it takes a lot of work to do that. It's like the place that I was talking about. I researched the land. When we went there the first time, we just went there just on a whim. It wasn't even about, doing anything. We just wanted to go somewhere. And but all the experiences that we had in there, that's where it caused me to come back and start researching the land and take it and putting in that work. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of it takes time. It takes time to do this and to get
yeah,
the stories of what's going on. And that's what I mean. So when you do residentials like that, that really takes a lot because you may
right,
be dealing with somebody who just has a mental illness, and if they got kids, then you might have to get somebody involved in that to get them out. So I really don't do it residentials because of that, because my team is not set up for that. I believe that you would have to have some either somebody that deals with counseling on your team, something like that, that they can pick up on those things that they need to do. So I've done a couple, and like I said, for me, it's always been out in the open, which is abandoned places, buildings, hospitals, the woods, the forests. Like that's my number one thing.
right.
And but it can still just be this. It's the same thing. You still have to research where you're at.
Yeah, yeah. And so like I'm one of those people who, when it comes to the paranormal, I, I like to just go and just check it out. I consider myself a novice at this, even though I lived in a house for several years. We had tons of paranormal experiences there. Um, I, I I would never say I'm a researcher, investigator. Would I love to go to a place and check it out and do an investigation there? Sure. Research a little bit, sure. But to say I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna do some research, I'm gonna do some. I'm looking for hardcore evidence. Not, that's not me. I'm going looking for an experience, and like you said, there's nothing wrong with that. People want to do that. That's fine, and that's great.
Yeah, you just
You
want to
know,
sit down and have lunch with Bigfoot.
yeah, 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 and see, that's where I do my research and investigations, and that's where I get a little bit more serious. Um, yeah, so that's where I do like, uh, you know, I do my homework there. But when it comes to the paranormal, as much as I love this stuff, man, it's I'm just a novice at it, and I wouldn't pretend to be anything else or pretend to know it all either. That's part of
Yeah,
the reason why I do this show, because I want to learn more and more. Uh, hopefully, people that tune in get to listen, and hopefully they get to learn something too.
yeah. I mean, that's the best way because that's how we learn. We learn from everyone else.
Yeah, yeah.
Also from their mistakes. They go in there acting all silly and everything, and now you know what not to do.
So speaking of that, have you ever done something like that? You said, "Oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have done that."
Jump the fence.
Jump the fence. Look at you, man, breaking the law, breaking the law. Yeah,
It's only a law if you get caught.
but yeah, you only break it if you get caught, right? Yeah, yeah, man. So have you ever been like legit scared, like truly scared?
Uh, the race doesn't get scared. No, that's what I always say. I have had my times. I don't get scared. I get startled.
Okay.
And there are some videos out there where I do scream. So it's not. I'm not very proud of that, but it happens. I got
Yeah.
scared by a balloon in New Orleans. It came out from behind one of them tombs. And I yelled out, but I got startled. Now there's been some times, yeah, especially like I said in that forest one, that one we've had some really intense stuff where um it's like I was telling you behind stage that I believe that there's something in there. I believe it's not just one thing, but one of those things I believe that it is. I know there's skinwalkers in there,
Right.
and we've seen them. But there was a time that I didn't believe in the Bigfoot thing, the UFO. I've heard about the abductions and and the Sasquatch, but it just wasn't my thing.
Right.
And I just left it alone. But ever since we went to that place, that started to change my mind because what we're experiencing there is not just the other things that are in there, the trees. Because I started to watch the documentaries on them, and when they break the trees and they make their signs like that. Well, all of that is in there. You know,
Right.
I found footprints in there that I have pictures of, and they're still there. They're actually in the cement, but so that's one thing there that the cryptid side of it now I do believe.
Right.
And we did hear one time we were in there. We heard we were walking. Of course, we don't. I do it in the dark. I don't. I try not to use flashlights. And we were walking, and we were about 3 miles in the forest, and this growl came out from the left side, but it was so deep that I felt it in my chest. And my first thought the vision that I got in my mind was like a big gorilla,
Hmm.
something big. And it went from one side to another side. And then there's a whistle. There's a long whistle that comes before that. And then it'll follow you through there, but it'll go from the back to the front, to the left, to right. And then when you start thinking like you're being surrounded.
Right.
And I was watching a documentary one time. I think it was from Ohio or somewhere down there, those bigger forests. And it was a Bigfoot show, and they actually played one of the audios from it, and it had that same whistle in it.
Okay.
So, like I said, there is something in there like that, and everything that you see on those shows, it's in there.
Yeah. 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 And a lot of that stuff I've experienced firsthand too.
Yeah,
Um, other than having the full on sighting, I've experienced is the growls and the stuff being thrown, the tree snaps, and hearing trees get pushed over. Uh,
right.
that was pretty freaky. I had a flat tire. I was following my friend of mine. We were out in this freaking dirt road, and I had a flat. And we stopped, and we're trying to change the tire, and we heard a tree get pushed over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like, holy shit! This is
We're gonna
this.
have to talk. We're gonna have to talk
Yeah,
after this because that happened to us too. We were in there, not this last time, but the one before that, which is about maybe 2 months ago,
right.
and everything was quiet. And what I did was I was doing an offering, to the forest,
Mhm.
and there was a tree that broke. I mean, there wasn't a small tree. This thing was a big tree. You didn't hear any rustling or any footsteps. You just heard the tree just break and fall, you know.
Right.
And that was something that just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the odds of it just that you're there at that one time and the tree just breaks in. And I said that was no little tree,
Mhm.
and like you said, from the growls and um, the smell, you
Yeah.
know, all the stuff that I've heard, I've started to experience in there. But just with that one thing, you know, I said there's many other things in there.
Right.
So there. I think there is one in there. And I don't know. It's because there was another person that I met in there, and he said he was just jogging, and I was asking him about a house, and then he starts to show me pictures. He called it a stamina. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Oh, a what?
A stamina.
No. No.
And
Yeah,
I've
I
tried
don't
to
know.
Google it and everything, but it don't come up. But that's what he called it. But
Huh.
it's referring to the Bigfoot. I don't like to
Okay.
call it a Bigfoot now because that sounds so cartoonish. Because when you hear this stuff and you're in there like that, this ain't no joke. This is
Yeah.
something that you feel that it's you feel like prey.
Yeah.
Like you're being hunted now.
Hmm.
It's a weird feeling. It's different than dealing with spirits.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. And I was. I have been. Let's see. Sandra just gave me an update. She said I have been in the hospital for a week now from my fall. So I hope you're good, Sandra. Hope you can make a speedy recovery too. But yeah, we one day I was out there and I was with two of my good friends, and someone had told me to try a dog whistle. And they were like, try the dog whistle. I've always gotten a good response with that. I had no idea what he meant by good response. Just I guess he meant something that was like a no doubter. So I had this whistle and I blew on it, I don't know, like 4 or 5 times. And we heard this growl, I don't know, from a couple hundred yards away come back. And it was like it went from point A to point B. It was so loud, but it didn't fill up the forest. It stayed concentrated and went from point A to point B, us being point B, and it hit us right in the chest.
Yeah,
That was one of the weirdest things. As loud as it was, you would have thought it would fill up the
right.
forest,
And that
but it was like very
and
concentrated.
that's how it was then. It came out on my left
Yeah.
side because I was on point, and then so that one got to me because we're so deep in there that I know if something happens in here, because I've always told my team from the first time that we went in, and we started going deeper in there. Says, you know what, we're in here like 6 miles. If anything happens, we're gonna scream as loud as we want. Ain't nobody gonna come. So
Yeah.
but and that was my first thought. It's like I had the movie scene. I said because we had the lights off, and then all of a sudden now we all got flashlights on, and in my head I kept seeing this. I know what's gonna happen. I seen the movie. He's gonna get taken first, and then he's gonna get taken. I'm gonna turn around, he's gone, and then whatever's gonna come out is gonna get me. So I just had my camera. So if it gets me, I'm just gonna try to get it with the camera. It's gonna look like the Blair Witch, I mean, the camera just going and just hear me.
Yeah, the lost footage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was thinking that like he's gonna go, something's gonna jump out the side and just take that one, and he's gonna behind me, he's gonna disappear too, and like
Mm.
so it was pretty intense. It was one of the most intense times of being there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, maybe it was maybe a month ago now, maybe 5 weeks when we went out to my friend's area where he had his actual sighting, and so we go out there all the time, and we've got some good vocals out there, some good uh, tree breaks that we've got recorded. Um, we found a lot of tree breaks out there too. Uh, we found a tree that was like 12 feet high, and not only was the branch broken, but it was twisted,
Right.
and it was the only branch like that going into that area. Uh, and it's like a very narrow road, and people were like, well, maybe like an 18 wheeler hit it. I'm like, there's no 18 wheeler going on these little bitty roads, these dirt roads. They won't be able to turn back out.
Right.
It wasn't no storm because that was the only tree that was like that.
Right.
Somebody said, what about an ice storm? So it was in the middle of the summertime here in Texas.
Yeah.
And yeah, we found prints out there. We found a hog with his head ripped off. Um, Yeah, it's a crazy area, man. I love to take you out there and chill out there with us.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
reminds me
yeah.
too. Hey, Kimmy, what's going on, Kimmy? Um, there's the places when I go we go in there, like I found a chair. It's a chair, but it's made out of the like you said, the vines, the trees, but they're bent in a certain way, like they're pushed over like this, and then you got these thick vines that are wrapped around it. And I have it on video, and it's like in the shape of a chair. It's big. It's way bigger than my chair is right here. But the way they were bent like this, and then they had another one that went straight, and then it had vines coming down, and it was wrapped around, holding that part out, like you could literally get up there and sit on it. It's like, what are the odds of this vines? I mean, this look man-made, but
Yeah,
we know there's nobody coming in here and making this, But they had the makings of something intelligent to make this, other than would be a human. But that's not a human to make this. And so there's some crazy stuff in there like that. I mean,
right.
you see this stuff, and it's kind of like, like I said, I'm in there looking for the spiritual side of it, but that's in there, and I'm trying to. I've been going there 2.5 years now, so I've gotten a lot of things. I have a lot of audio from it too, and it's just that I haven't found anyone that can listen to this
Hmm,
or see the pictures that we've gotten and the videos that we've gotten from it.
right. Hmm. I definitely like to see what you got. I always,
It sounds just
you
like what
know.
you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to pull up some pictures. I thought I had them on this laptop, but I don't have them on my laptop. I've got them on my phone. But um, yeah. So like out there in the Sam Houston where we go, man, we get a lot of activity. And like I said, everything from the tree breaks to um, the hog having his head ripped off, and of course, a lot of the activity is in this one particular area where my friend had his encounter. But there are other places in the Sam Houston that we've got some really good audio too, and some really good prints.
So what are you going to do if you see it?
I don't know. I'm gonna start wearing Depends after this last time we were out. So, dude, I'm telling you, man, it was scary. It was one of the scariest things that I've had happen. And if anybody wants to check it out, I was looking it up right now. It's on America's Creek Devil. It's called Bigfoot America's Creek Devil, and it's episode 246. So you guys go check that out, and you'll hear my crazy ass, retarded, crazy story, man. And yeah, I was there's definitely some puckering going on there, but yeah. So what places have you investigated here in Texas as far as your paranormal stuff?
We've gone to Lionel, Texas, to the Baby Head Cemetery, which that one
Okay.
we got run out of by giant grasshoppers. And,
Okay.
and been of course in San Antonio. Been to a lot of places in there. The
Sure.
Chinese cemetery. We got chased out by a swarm of mosquitoes. And
Jeez.
but see, it doesn't happen. It doesn't. They're not there when we go in. But
Hmm.
once we're in there and we start moving around and everything, it's like the
Hmm.
like whatever's there will cause this to happen to get us out. Because it's just weird the way it happens. You know what I mean? So
Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
start thinking about it. But yeah, I've been there. Been to the Mineola house in Mineola, the OP house.
Okay.
That one
How was that?
that one was cool. It's supposed to have it's supposedly at the time it had 19 spirits, and then the one spirit that was controlling all of them. It was pretty cool. It was. Oh, that's when we. I don't know if you use the spirit board.
Um, I don't use a spirit board, even though I have copies over here. Uh, I'm in printing, so I've made stuff for.
Yeah,
I printed out. I've got like 10 spirit boards that I've printed out. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
that one. Because I get a lot of hassle for using that.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know about you,
I don't have anything against it because to me it's just like using anything else. That's what I think. You're communicating with the dead, right?
right?
I think it's just like using anything else, whether it be a pendulum or um, tarot cards, or you're got your spirit box. I don't really see the difference. I don't think that. oh my God, you got this spirit board. That means you're summoning demons and only demons. I don't see
All
that
right, we're gonna be good friends from now on.
way.
Well, I have used the spirit board. I've been using that since I was 17. So
Okay.
we did have really.
That's your planchette in the back there.
Oh yeah, that's a big one back there. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's on the wall. I got my board. It's just that it's still in my bag. I ain't even unpacked.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that one we had some really good communications, and that one, like I said, that one does get a bad rap. And a lot of people think it's a toy, and to me, it's like,
Right.
okay, if it's a toy, then get one and put it in your house, you know. Or they, it's just a lot of the movies, of course, that give it a bad rap. And it's like anything else, you open yourself to it, whatever it is. That's the way I believe it. Is that
Yeah.
whether it's a spirit box or anything, and it's not even, and it even goes beyond that. As soon as you think about going somewhere, you already open yourself up.
Yeah.
And then once you
Exactly.
get there, and once you even say hello, that's it. You open that door.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. This is mine,
Oh, that's cool.
but it's on acrylic,
Man, I gotta get one.
but I got a bunch. Yeah, but I got a bunch like that. I'm actually experimenting with how I want to do it. So,
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna have to get together because I need one of those.
and then I want to put one on like on aluminum also, because like this right here is on aluminum, but
Yeah.
it's all printed black. But that's not a spirit board. But I want to put one on the spirit board on black, and maybe print a couple on some wood too. But yeah, that's what I want
Oh
to
yeah. I'm gonna have to get some. See, it's working out. It's working out. The universe.
Working out. There you go. Yeah.
But we did get some really good communication, and like I was saying, it's just that anybody you see on a podcast that comes on and get asked this question or whatever, the first thing they say is, "No, I don't get near them because I had a bad experience." You always hear the bad side of it. You never hear
Right.
anything good. I
Right.
had one bad experience when I was 17, but you got to realize that was back in the 90s. So we're in high school, and I don't know if you were like I was in high school back in the 90s, but we did.
I was a good boy.
Oh yeah, I was too. And so I think that's the reason why we had a bad experience, you know.
Yeah.
And but ever since then, I've used it, and I've never had another one like that. And
Right.
once I really learned how to really to use it and channel through it, that's when I started getting those communications like that. I don't go
Okay.
in someone and like you hear people say, I want the baddest spirit to come out, or is there a bad spirit here? Well, then you're opening
Right. Yeah.
you're opening those doors again,
Right.
and of course it's always the young kids who do it, and stuff happens to them, and that's the only stories that you ever hear.
Right.
And for me, I've always asked the question. They said, well, you got to close it. If you don't close it, you leave the portal open. So I asked a question one time. So how do you close an SP7?
Wow.
How do you close a spirit box? Just go, you turn it off, take the batteries out of it,
Right.
and so it's like you said, it's a tool. And of course, it bothers me that the paranormal world it can be so judgmental to people. They do use it.
Right.
I've been called stupid before on a podcast.
Well, look, uh, according to the paranormal world, everything's a demon. So the demons must be running around anyway. So,
But
right?
it's silly because yeah, it's like this is what we
But
do.
yet you're gonna call a demon, but everything else is a demon, but they don't want you calling a demon. And kind of going back to what you were saying too, is like just by saying, "Hey, you're communicating, right? Hey, I'm
Yeah,
here. Is there anybody here in the house?" Right? You're opening that door. A friend of mine, him and his wife bought a house. Well, they rented a house. They saw it for rent. It was a few streets away from his father-in-law, her dad, and they stopped by and they saw they were working on a house, but they saw a for rent sign out front in the front yard. So they said, "We'll stop by and talk to these people." So they go inside. They talk to the lady that owned the house, and she's like, "Yeah, it belonged to my father. He passed away, and we're gonna put the house up for rent." And my friend was like, "Well, we'll take it. We like it." They worked out a price, and she was like, "Okay." 2 weeks later, they moved in. Um, as they're moving in, a neighbor from across the street came over and was like, "Hey, you guys got Jack's house?" He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, you got Jack's house." And Jack died here. He committed suicide. He was an older man. He had terminal cancer, and he didn't want to live anymore. And, he,
Yeah.
ended his life. And so, they were kind of freaked out by that, but not too bad. So my friend was trying to scare his wife. She was started flicking the lights off and on. Jack's gonna get you. Jack's gonna get you. Well, after that, they had a terrible time in this house with the entity.
Hmm.
They were seeing shadows. They were. Uh, I mean, it got really bad, physically bad for them too. But he opened that door, and this was like 25 years ago. I want to say maybe 26, 27 now. And still to this day, when I talk to him, he blames himself for that,
Yeah.
because he says, I brought that in.
Right.
I brought that bad energy. And it's like you said, you don't need a spirit board to do that.
Right.
And yeah.
So that brings me to a question there. Hey, Kim. Thanks for showing up, Kim. Um, so do you think that, because I've heard this a lot here lately, and I've thought about it too, um, about some places that we claim to be haunted. Do you believe that we create that? Because if it's me and four other people on my team or whatever, five, and our collective energy, or that we manifest that.
Right. Yeah. I think a group can, and I think a person can. I think there are some people who are more of an antenna, than other people. And I think you get them in the group, they can certainly create other stuff. And I think that's why sometimes when people go on these investigations and they're like, "This is what we experienced," and yet the other groups say we never experienced that before, or this has never happened to us. And,
Yeah.
so I think sometimes people can, and I've heard people say you're a portal. You're like a living portal. You attract these,
Yeah. I've been told
other
that.
entities or whatever. Yeah. Well, people have told me that too. So, and I think
Yeah.
that's a good possibility. And if I go to a haunted location, I might have a completely different uh, experience than you.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and it's not necessarily that location; it's me and it's you.
Right.
You know, I don't
Hey,
know if that
Carol.
answered your question or not.
Yeah.
Hey, Carol, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't
Um.
know if that answered your question.
Yeah. I think we could. So because I think about it, because it depends. I think if your abilities are that strong, and you're really in tune with them, I think maybe you could manifest something. So then we're creating hauntings then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So the
yeah.
place is not
And
even haunted. We're creating it. So we're making it
yeah,
haunted.
yeah. We're making it haunted. We're bringing it in there with us, and maybe the energy of that place and the energy of the people around you just amplifies all that.
Right.
But I mean, do I think places are haunted and are as advertised? I do think that too.
Yeah. 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 I believe that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good conversation, man. That's getting kind of deep here, dude. I don't know, man.
I'm waiting for the next question.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, so like when you went to Louisiana, when you went to New Orleans, what did you go do over there? What was the hot spot there for
Well,
you?
we actually went down there for Fear Fest, um,
Okay.
and we did that, and then we actually went to one of the cemeteries about 2 in the morning. We left the hotel at 2 in the morning, and that's the first time that because I've always seen, because the people are buried on top, their tombs. It
Right. Yeah.
looks something like out of a scary movie, like the Wolfman or something like that back in the old days, you know.
Right.
And I've always wanted to see that, So we finally got the opportunity. So we went to the Fear Fest, and then after, because it was we were there 3 days, I believe so, and then so we went to several cemeteries, but even the first one that we went to. We just started getting communication because one of my other members, he uses the SB7, and I use the necrophonics, and even at that necrophonics, I know it's an app and people have issues with apps. I've tried a lot of them and I never could really connect with them, so I always stuck to my board or just me. But we did
Mhm.
an investigation in San Antonio with another investigator, and that thing was just popping off. And I mean, it's kind of like you're hearing it, and we're conversating. Like I said, it's not just that one word EVP that you hear.
Right.
No, they are answering with sentences, and so it's like, wow, man, that is something there, man. Like I'm gonna try that. So I got it and played around with it, and before you know it, I got my guy to connect with it, and now it's just like I can just turn it on and it's instant. So when we were there, it was just so much. It was so much there that um, that is something. That is something. I think everyone should go to New Orleans and go into those cemeteries. And I normally don't do cemeteries, but that one I had to, because it's already spooky when you see it, you know.
Right.
And but it's cool, man. That was an experience there.
Mhm. Yeah, I've been to New Orleans quite a few times, and I've seen the cemeteries out there, not just in New Orleans, but like in surrounding areas. And yeah, man, they're pretty. They're pretty creepy looking.
Yeah,
Uh, we have that in Galveston also, but not on the scale that New Orleans or even Louisiana has it for that matter.
right. But
Um,
Bourbon
but
Street was
yeah,
scarier.
yeah, Bourbon Street's much
It
scarier.
was,
Yeah,
man. Ain't
yeah,
lying.
yeah. It's a weird place to go, man. It's you have, but I love it there, so I can't complain. But yeah, man. I myself have never done cemeteries. I know a lot of teams do cemeteries. Uh, I just I don't know. I just don't do that. That's just not my thing. But we have some pretty nice cemeteries here in Houston
Yeah,
that are pretty popular. Actually, I don't live very far from one. I mean, it may be a mile and a half from me. That's like really popular here in Houston that people go to a lot.
right.
Uh, yeah, maybe I should go check it out. I mean, it makes some nice pictures. I think
Yeah. Our thing is the
some nice.
forests. I can guarantee it.
And see, okay, so you mentioned the forest before too. Um, I think there's so much more that goes on in the paranormal realm that gets lumped in with Bigfoot, whether it's stuff being thrown, footsteps, or hearing voices, because there is that chatter that people say they hear from Bigfoot, or the samurai chatter, the mumbling, and I've heard that, but I've often wondered, what if that's not Bigfoot? What if that's just something paranormal? Because like here, like I said, I go to the Sam Houston a lot. It was actually like a mining colony at one time there, and so it was full of miners. These miners, they didn't play around. Stay away from my stuff.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything. So you don't ever know what went on there. Um, and here a couple months ago, a friend of mine, he actually caught on video an orb coming down the road, and in the forest too. I'm sure you've heard people have seen orbs all the time too.
Yeah.
And these are like orbs you're seeing with your eyes, not orbs you're seeing on your cameras, which I don't judge people on that. I know people judge people, oh, you say you caught an orb, it's at the dust ball, whatever. I don't get involved in that, man. I just leave them alone. But people have actually seen orbs of different shapes and sizes, and in the forest, and I think all that gets lumped in there with Bigfoot. And but I think there's a lot of paranormal activity that goes on in the forest that people just don't realize.
Yeah. I mean, it is like I said. We went when we went there. It's because we really didn't go. We just went to go have fun, and it turned
Right.
into an experience of a lifetime. It changed our lives. It really did. And if I started talking about it, the people in here, man, they follow this forest. I mean, it'll be 3 shows
Right.
just to
Yeah.
get past the
Oh
first
yeah.
part.
Well, yeah. So is it where you were talking about where the Goatman's Bridge is at?
The Donkey Lady Bridge.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Donkey Lady.
and I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
even
Donkey
like to
Lady.
say
Yeah.
that because I don't go to that. I don't even like the way it sounds.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the force behind it, and
Right.
because everything you describe is in there also. See,
Right.
I came in it backwards. Actually, when we got there, then I did go into investigator mode, and then so the paranormal for me was more the paranormal that led me into the Bigfoot and the
Mhm.
skinwalkers. See, it's like and because I didn't really take took I never took to that until that place.
Right.
Yeah, we got Reggie the X, the race hunter in there. He's the SB7 guy. He's one of my members. He actually went. We both went to. We were out there in New Orleans.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a place here in Texas. It's on private property, And the first week of December, me and my buddy Walter are gonna go up there to go check it out because these people are having all kinds of that same kind of activity on their property, on private property, which to me is great because they're seeing portals, they're seeing orbs, they're seeing the Bigfoot creatures out there,
Oh
they're
man,
seeing
you don't know how long I've
they're
waited
seeing
for somebody to say this, man.
yeah, they've it's pretty common in the Bigfoot world. It's pretty common. People make these comparisons, and people see this stuff out in the woods. It's you're not the only one to see this stuff.
Right?
Not by far. You're not the first
No, but
person
I'm
I've
it's the
heard
first
from.
time I've heard it.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
because
Yeah.
when I start talking about
Well,
it,
I'm
it's kind
telling
of
you.
like I get out to talking about dimensions and portals and
Yeah,
walking through them
yeah.
and stuff. It's like
Right,
it.
right.
But
Now, do I personally think Bigfoot is tied to this? I don't. I think Bigfoot's a flesh and blood creature, but I think there's just a lot more stuff that goes on in the woods, in the forest, and in this world than what people think about or people know. Um,
no, I'm not
but
talking about you, Emmy.
yeah,
But
yeah,
before Emmy throws me off, do you? Because I'll lose it. Um, do you think that? Okay, so do you believe Bigfoot is real?
oh yeah,
Okay.
oh
Do
yeah.
you think he has? Do you think he has abilities?
Nothing supernatural or paranormal. I don't know. No, I think he's a flesh and blood creature. I think he's extraordinary at what he does, and I think that's why people lump him in with all that kind of stuff. And I think that there are other entities out there that may resemble a Bigfoot. That people say Bigfoot can do this, or people, that's my opinion. That's just based on everyone that I've talked to. Uh, my friend Walter, who had a face-to-face encounter with this thing, will tell you 100 times, that this was a flesh and blood creature.
Well, I mean, we're flesh and
And
blood. We have abilities.
yeah, but we're not cloaking and disappearing and jumping through portals.
What about
That's just
what
not.
about telepathic?
Maybe some do. Some of us do. Some of us don't.
I mean,
Um,
the
you know,
Bigfoot.
I, I I think some of them do. Some of them don't. I think that uh, I think other animals do that do also. And whether it's deer or bear or elk or whatever, I think some are more in tune than others. I think that part of that proof is where I come from that not all animals have this capability or ability. So, like anytime there's been like a volcano eruption or earthquakes, so many animals will get out right and take off. Not all of them, but some will stay behind for sure. So why did some stay and some go? Because I think some are more in tune and some aren't.
Right. So you think he's just really good at hiding? Because you said he don't
Oh
cloak.
yeah, right, exactly. I've hunted for a number of years, and I've known number of hunters who have walked up on deer or who have had deer walk up on them, and the deer didn't jump through a portal. You know, so people who have been looking for deer and is that man, I saw this deer come over here and now he's gone. Where did the deer go? The deer is master of his domain.
So where does he go during the daytime? Because
I think they're probably asleep during the daytime for the most part. They might have a sentry keeping out for an eye on the rest of them. But I think for the most part, they're probably asleep in the daytime.
because I
I think,
have found what you would call layers in there.
right? Yeah, yeah, nesting
Right.
areas. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
this last time here last week. We I know. So I wonder where they're at then. Are they deeper in there? Because that forest is only so big.
Right. Well, I don't know. I'm sure they're. So I had a friend of mine. He was actually out looking for them, and he knew he was in a lair. And he walked by this big pile of brush. Right. He walked by it. He walked with a cane. He walked with a cane. He was walking by it. He went in, and when he came out, that big pile of brush was now flat. You know, it was now flat. And he's like, I bet that damn thing was hiding under there the whole time. We just didn't see him. You know.
Hmm.
So I think they're just masters of their domain. They're the forest angels.
Right.
But yeah, I wanted to, someone mentioned the casting. This was taken from Oklahoma.
There you go.
This was
There
from
you go, Reggie.
Yeah, this was taken from Oklahoma. I can't remember if it's 16 or 18 inches long, but it's only got 4 toes. I don't know if you can see
Yeah.
it, but you can see the calluses and the creases. It's pretty cool. My friend Shane Church up in Oklahoma. Well, he lives here in Dallas, outside of Dallas area, but he went to Oklahoma and got that. I just wanted to share it with you guys.
Hmm.
But, everybody has their opinion about Bigfoot, and I don't discount anyone's opinions or anyone's experiences because you know I wasn't there to see it. I'm more interested in finding out what happened or what they saw and discovering this creature. And after we discover it and it comes out, then we'll tackle the rest.
Right.
You know,
Well,
because there's so many people that will tell you that it's supernatural. So many people will tell you that it's paranormal. So many people will tell you that it's a non-terrestrial being. So many people will tell you that it can cloak. So many people will tell you that it's jumping through the portals. So it can do all this stuff. I just don't think so.
yeah,
I
that's
just don't
that's really
think
why I'm asking because, like I said, I came into this without all that. I wasn't looking for it,
so.
so
Right.
I know I didn't manifest it because that was the furthest thing from my mind. I
Right.
just never was interested in the UFOs or the Sasquatch or anything like that. You know, but when we started to see that in there, and then like I said, running across that jogger, and he showed us some pictures, and he started showing us the trees how they were broke like that. And then after watching these I know the real documentaries on this, and it's like, hey, I'm looking at it, it's like that's what is in there, you know what I mean? And then after we started getting more experiences that led to that, there's even one on YouTube that I watched when this guy and a girl, they were in the forest and they're walking, and that same whistle, it's a
Mhm.
long whistle,
Right.
and it follows. It says that whistle's following us, and then he said it's in front of us. That's exactly what happens in there. There's certain things that start to happen, and I've caught on to the patterns, and that's when I know something's fixing to start happening, or something started to come near us, which is this, because it's always the same pattern. It starts in one way, and it keeps escalating, and so right now I do feel that I am on the tracks of, I guess, what you would call a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And especially this last time that we went, just last week, the the layers that we found in there, and I know that that place, it's big, but it's not one of those huge forests that you got on the East Coast.
Right. Yeah.
So it can only be, it's got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
So where is it going in? I mean, I guess, but I've only investigated just a tiny bit of it because it's still big, But I've mapped it out, but I really feel like we're really getting close to running into it. If that's
Right.
if that's what it is.
Right. Yeah. And so she asked, uh, how come we don't see them if they're flesh and blood? I think they probably see us a lot more than we see them. And people have certainly ran into them in the daytime as well as the nighttime. So I think there's plenty of sightings of these creatures. I don't think they're not as scarce as people think. I think there's plenty of them out there. Um, hunters see them quite a bit actually. They really don't like to talk about it, but I've talked to people who were just hiking on the trail and come across one. I think these things are more aware of us than we are of them, and they probably know that we carry weapons. They probably don't understand how our weapons work, but they probably know we carry weapons, and so they're going to keep their distance from us for the most part. And you know, that's just my opinion on it. I think they're just the forest ninjas. They know how to avoid us. They probably don't really want a lot of contact with us.
Yeah. Hey,
But they also know that we're messy. We leave food or laying around, so
yeah,
if they hang around us, they know they're going to get some easy food there.
yeah. Ezrana, hey, what's going on, Ezrana? She's saying they cloak as is portals.
Or is it for? I don't think they do either one. Uh, I, I certainly have heard people talk about that, and but I don't think they do. I think it might be something else, a different entity.
Yeah. Well, me,
Just like there are different entities that look like us.
so you think they shapeshift?
I don't think they shapeshift. No, no. I've certainly never heard anyone say that seen a Bigfoot shapeshift. I've heard. Um, so I've heard a story firsthand of a guy driving an 18-wheeler, and he saw what he described as a werewolf, right, walking up on 2 feet. It was an 18-wheeler. He drove by it. It was so tall, it was up to the hood of his 18-wheeler, and he just kept passing it. But when he looked in his mirror to give it a look, it was a man. It was a naked man. So something happened there between that, or unless he was just looking at the reflection, and in the reflection it just showed up as a man. So who knows? I've heard some strange stories, and then, like I said, I don't discount what anyone says, or I'm never going to tell anybody that's not what you
Yeah.
saw, that's not what you experienced, because to me that would be just really dishonest of me.
Right. Well, what you're telling me right now, what it's doing for me is just a confirming of what we are discovering
Yeah,
in there. It's everything's to the T. So that's and
yeah,
so now I'm even led even more now that there's something in there like that. I mean, there's other things, like I said, there is a spiritual side to that. It's an indigenous land, so we do run into the indigenous people and all that. But there is something else in there that leads to that. And that's, like I said, that's something that I just never was into, but now because of that place and everything is there, it's the evidence is there. Everything you're describing is there. So and you
yeah,
having more experience with this, and so now it's really leading me up to that. So now I'm keep thinking still, like, because people always ask me, what are you going to do if you run into it? Reggie says he's going to sit down and have, like you said, have lunch with it and whatever.
so you're not going to sit down and sing kumbaya with these things. I almost promise you
Well, he
that.
thinks he
These,
thinks he is.
yeah, there's been too many encounters of these things being vicious,
Yeah,
attacking people. And I've talked to people who have been attacked by these creatures.
right.
For absolutely no reason. You know,
And because
two brothers in two brothers in Louisiana in a swamp. Sitting in a kayak got attacked by these
so you
creatures.
think those
For
are
no reason.
different species?
I think they're different entities. I think that there is an entity that resembles a squatch. A Bigfoot. You know, um, and maybe there is something. There is a species that is supernatural. Yeah. And or she's saying she saw three shapeshifters. I don't know why they show themselves to me, but and I'm not saying that stuff doesn't exist. The shapeshifters and the Wendigos and the skinwalkers. I'm a firm believer in
Yeah, they're out
skinwalkers.
there. I mean, they are real.
I yeah, I'm a firm believer in that, man. I'm a firm believer in supernatural. I believe in elementals.
Yeah.
I got freaking haunted dolls behind me. Yeah. So yeah, I certainly believe in all that. So like I said, man, I don't discount anyone's opinion. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea of me. But the Bigfoot that I'm looking for, I absolutely believe it's a flesh and blood creature. In some of these forests, especially here in the Sam Houston, you could literally put a T-Rex back there and you'd never see it.
All right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Reginald says they will love me.
Yeah,
Yeah, they might.
yeah, they might.
Yeah, they may love you, buddy. They may love you like they love a burrito or a taco.
I keep telling them.
Yeah. And my whole thing with this is like, do I think a Bigfoot is just this cold-blooded creature? I don't think so. I think that they're just like anything else. You know, depending on their disposition, is depending on your experience with them. If you're not invading their territory, if they're not on a hunt, they're not hungry. If they're not, they just get their butt whipped by the alpha. You know, I think you'd be okay.
Hmm.
Just like, I mean, you've probably seen YouTube videos where bears or wolves have walked through people's camps or walked right next to them fishing.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything. That wasn't an invitation to come pet me.
Right.
You know, you know. But yeah,
I'm gonna dig.
so
I'm gonna
think
have to.
they're
I'm gonna have to pick your brain later on more about this because, like I said, everything you're describing is there,
yeah,
and we're
yeah,
really
and
really close. Because this last time that we went there last week, I think that one right there was it was more intense than the. I've been there now. That was 15 times that I've been there in 2.5 years,
oh
and
wow,
every time I go, it's always more. It's either more of that or in more of the spiritual side, but it keeps escalating. But now that I'm starting to read the land,
mm-hmm.
you see the brush on the ground, you see the trees the way they are, you start to notice more. And especially because I keep
Right.
going almost to the same little spots and going deeper and little deeper and little deeper, and that I know that we're pretty close to running into something,
Mhm.
and I really don't know how what's going to happen. If it's a
Yeah.
flesh and blood creature like you're saying, then well then we're screwed then.
You're probably not screwed. Like I said, if by this time if they wanted to hurt you, they would have hurt you.
Yeah,
And that I mean, and again, that goes with any other creature. If they wanted to hurt you, it would have hurt you.
but I am shown a lot in there. I am shown a lot spiritually. I have gotten a
Mhm.
lot of knowledge from that place. Um, so do you think they're communicating in that way? That's why I say, can they keep
I think like I said, I think some can. I think some are more in tune, and some have more abilities when it comes to that. Just like us, just like any other animal. I think some are just more in tune, and I've certainly have heard stories of people, uh, you know, having visions or hearing thoughts in their heads, that they claim that these things project, and they have no reason to lie to me or to just make stuff up.
right?
So, and like I said, I don't think they're crazy, and I think there's something to that. Do I think that every single Bigfoot can do it? I don't think so.
Uh,
Like I said, I just think just like I said, I think they're just like any other animal. Every other animal are in tune and some aren't.
yeah.
That's
Well,
just
you're
that's just my opinion. I don't freaking know anything.
well, you're only what 3 or 4 hours from San Antonio.
Yeah, 3 hours from
Oh,
San
dude, we're
Antonio.
gonna
Yeah,
have to meet. We're gonna have to
yeah,
meet.
definitely, dude. I love to go out there. I've never been out there. I've been invited several times. I've got a friend of mine named Mary that goes out there. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll take you in there. There you go,
No, I'd
everyone.
definitely
I
love
got
that.
my next victim. Bait.
My
I got
next
my
one
next
was
bait.
yeah, bait. Hey, I hope you can outrun me. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I will trip you.
Oh man, look at that. So now y'all know what happened to the race if I don't come back and me and Joe go in
There
there.
you
He tripped me.
go. Yeah. He told me to go save myself. That's what he said. Shit. Well, cool, man. Dude, we've already been talking an hour, man. Like I say, we probably could have been talking for 3 more hours.
Oh yeah.
But shoot, man, I have to have you back on, man, and I love to continue this conversation. Man, it seems like you got some good people around you too.
Yeah, they're
Maybe
awesome.
we can have them on the show too.
They're
They can,
awesome. All of them are.
yeah, well, good, man. Well, cool beans, man. Like I said, if you guys, continue to listen to the show, man, I appreciate it. If you're not members of, it's called the Beyond the Woodline fan page. Join it. You guys can share and post whatever you guys want. I don't, I'd be happy to let you guys do that. Whatever you guys got going on, whatever you guys are doing, just whatever you guys want to post, man. Yeah, that's what I have the fan page for everyone to kind of just share information. And I promise that everybody in there's I've not seen anybody bicker or argue in the 3 years I've been doing this. So
No
everybody,
drama.
yeah, no drama. Yeah, I don't play that. But no one, I've never had to even put my foot down in that group. So they're all good. Well, cool beans, man. I appreciate everybody joining. Next week I have, I believe his name is Les. He'll be on, and I don't know what time, but I'll make a poster or a flyer and let you guys know. And yeah, man, thanks a lot for joining the show, man. I do appreciate it.
Oh yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, man. Because this is really cool. Because now, like I said,
Yeah,
everybody knows how much the sports is a part of my life,
yeah,
and it has been very hard to find people to even to go in there with me,
yeah, dude.
and
I'll go in there with you.
and especially you that you already have that knowledge of
Yeah,
what to look for.
yeah. I've
You
been
know,
doing this for almost 13 years now.
yeah,
The
I would
Bigfoot
love to
creatures.
show you what's in there.
Yeah. Thank you too, Carol. Thanks for joining and tuning in tonight's show.
Yeah, Carol's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Everybody
Hey,
in there is awesome.
yeah. Wait, after we get off the air, I want to talk to you for a little bit, real
Yeah.
quick. Yeah. All right, guys. You guys have a great night, and thanks a lot for tuning in. Peace, love, and hair grease, guys.